In the heart of a quaint little town named Elmswood, life seemed as calm as the surface of a still lake. The cobblestone streets bustled with the laughter of children, the distant hum of conversations, and the occasional bark of a playful dog. But as the sun dipped behind the horizon, casting its last golden rays, a peculiar silence would blanket the town, and with it came whispers soft, chilling, and elusive. They called it the Whispering Woods, a dense forest at the town's edge. By day, it stood quiet and inviting, a haven for wandering birds and curious deer. But by night, it transformed into a realm of secrets and shadows, a place no one dared to tread. Tales of its mysteries passed through generations like warnings etched into the collective memory of the town. Among the townsfolk was a curious girl named Lucy. At 12, she had an insatiable thirst for adventure and a skeptical eye for the old tales that sent shivers down others' spines. One evening, she sat on her bed, flipping through the pages of an ancient book she had borrowed from the library. Its pages were yellowed and its cover worn, but the words within held the weight of caution. "Beware the whispering woods," she read aloud, her voice soft but tinged with disbelief. "For those who hear the shadows shall never return the same." She laughed, dismissing it as another exaggerated story meant to frighten children. But just as the thought left her mind, a faint sound reached her ears. A whisper. It was faint at first, almost like the rustling of leaves in the breeze. But as Lucy strained to listen, it grew clearer, words indistinct but unnervingly close. She turned toward the window, which offered a view of the darkening woods. The sight sent a shiver down her spine, and she hurried to draw the curtains. Yet, the whispers lingered in her mind. The next day, Lucy confided in her best friend, Sam, a boy with a sharp wit and a cautious heart. They sat together in the school library, surrounded by dusty tomes and the faint smell of old paper. "You're seriously looking into the Whispering Woods?" Sam asked, raising an eyebrow. He bit into an apple and leaned back in his chair. "Come on, Lucy. Everyone knows it's just a story to keep kids from wandering off. Then why do the adults act so scared?" Lucy countered. She placed an old photograph on the table. It was a black and white image of the woods taken decades ago. In the background, almost hidden among the trees, was a faint, shadowy figure. Sam frowned, leaning closer. "Creepy," he admitted. "But still, it's probably a trick of the light." "I'm going in," Lucy declared. "Tonight? I need to know the truth." Sam groaned, rubbing his temples. He asked, knowing he wouldn't let her go alone. When night fell, the two friends stood at the edge of the woods, flashlights in hand. The trees loomed above them, their twisted branches like skeletal fingers reaching for the sky. The air was colder here, and an unnatural stillness hung over the path. "This is a bad idea," Sam muttered, clutching his backpack tightly. Lucy ignored him, stepping onto the trail. The moment her foot touched the path, the woods seemed to come alive. The faint whispers began again, swirling around them like an invisible current. "Do you hear that?" Sam whispered, his voice trembling. Lucy nodded, her flashlight beam darting between the trees. The whispers grew louder, almost forming words. Shapes flitted in the shadows, too quick to focus on. "Hello?" Lucy called out, her voice firm despite her racing heart. The only response was the echo of her words and a sudden, chilling laugh that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere. A shadowy figure darted across the path ahead. Lucy froze, her flashlight flickering. Without thinking, she bolted after it. "Wait," she cried. Sam hesitated, fear rooting him to the spot, but loyalty won over, and he followed, cursing under his breath. Deeper into the woods, the whispers became a cacophony, surrounding them with a dreadful symphony of voices. The trees grew denser, their gnarled trunks twisted in unnatural shapes. Lucy skidded to a halt as the forest opened into a clearing. In the center stood a massive, ancient tree, its bark blackened as if scorched. Hanging from its branches were dozens of small wooden figures, each intricately carved to resemble a person. Sam's breath caught in his throat. "What is this?" he whispered. Lucy stepped closer, her flashlight illuminating the carvings. Each face was eerily lifelike, their expressions frozen in fear or sorrow. They look like people, Lucy murmured. Her fingers brushed against one of the figures, and the whispers ceased abruptly. The silence was deafening. Then came a voice, deep and resonant, from the shadows. Leave, it commanded, the single word vibrating in their bones. The shadows seemed to shift, coalescing into humanoid forms that loomed just beyond the clearing's edge. Who are you? Lucy demanded, her voice shaking. The shadowy figures stepped closer, their forms flickering like flames. Leave, or stay forever, they intoned. Lucy's courage faltered as the shadows surged forward. Grabbing Sam's hand, she turned and ran, the carved figure still clutched in her other hand. The forest seemed to close in around them, the path twisting and shifting. The whispers grew louder, mocking and taunting. When they finally burst from the woods, the first light of dawn bathed the town in a pale glow. Panting and disheveled, they stumbled onto the cobblestone streets, but something was wrong. The town was eerily quiet, the usual morning bustle absent. Lucy pulled out her phone, checking the time. Her eyes widened in horror. Sam, she whispered, it's been 3 days. Back in Lucy's room, they sat in stunned silence. The wooden figure lay on her desk, its carved features identical to hers. Sam broke the silence. We have to destroy it, he said. But as Lucy reached for it, a familiar whisper filled the room. The camera pans to the window, where the edge of the woods is just visible. A single shadowy figure stands among the trees, its glowing eyes watching, waiting. For the shadows, the narrator intones, never truly leave. They only wait for the next curious soul.